I have been a professional nature photographer for the last 4 years, and I really wanted to make this video because in it, I'm going to be covering information that I wish I had learned before I decided to go pro. In this video, I'm going to be covering every single way I've made money with photography and showing you guys exactly how much I've made. 100% transparency, no bullshit. At the end of the video, I'm even going to be sharing with you guys my W-2 forms. So let's go ahead and get into it with the first one, which is really disappointing. And it might surprise some of you guys being a nature photographer, but this is one of the least lucrative ways I've made money, and that is, full honesty, print sales is something I have never been able to crack. I think I must just be like the world's worst salesman because I have friends who make 6 figures a year doing print sales, and I am lucky if I get like 1 sale a month. To be perfectly fair, I don't go to art shows. I don't have a print sales booth. All I really have is a Smug Mug account, which kind of does automatic print fulfillment online. And realistically, people aren't just going on the internet and saying, I want to decorate my home from this random guy's website. But if I jump onto my account here and go to smugmug.com, you can see here that my profit payment history for this year for sales is $401.68. So I wouldn't say that's horrendous. It pays to keep the Smug Mug domain open, but it's definitely not what I was expecting when I decided to go pro. Moving on. So the next one is Instagram. Instagram used to have this thing called Reels play bonuses where they would pay you depending on how many plays or views that you got on your Reels. And I'm not an influencer. Honestly, most of my Reels are pretty garbage, so this was no surprise that I didn't make a ton of money doing this. But let me go ahead and show you guys. If I open up Instagram and then click on my profile, you can see here it says professional dashboard. I click on that, and then you can see my insights. And if I scroll down, you can see a section that says bonuses. So I click on that, and then you can see it says manage, and then below that, past bonuses. I click on that, and you can see all of my Reels plays bonuses and how much I got paid. In total, Instagram paid me $458.71, which is nothing to sneeze at for just using an app that I was probably gonna use anyways, but this is just a drop in the bucket compared to what real influencers make. So we're gonna move on to something that when I first learned about it, I was convinced that I was going to become a millionaire with this method. Unfortunately, that could not have been further from the truth. This next one is stock photography. When I first learned about this, my mind was blown. And I probably spent 1,000 hours cataloging and keywording and uploading photos to a bunch of different stock photography websites. And my internet connection sucked, so this just took forever. And it was probably a month before I got my very first sale. And it was so disheartening to see my very first sale. I think I even got an email about it. And it was like, you made 35 cents. And I was just like, oh my God, this was the biggest waste of time. So here is my Shutterstock account page. And you can see here, if I go down and zoom in, my lifetime earnings are $3,923.16. This is all the way going back from apparently May of 2016. You can see I have 177 video downloads and 3,000 image downloads. Even back in 2015, I was way too late on the stock photography bandwagon. Let's move on to another website. Here's Adobe stock, and this one is even worse with a lifetime earning of $1,373.75. I also have accounts with Pond5, Alamy, iStock, and DreamsTime, but believe it or not, these have actually lower sales. The stock agency that I made the most money with is Getty Images, but unfortunately I can't show you guys that one because I actually don't have access to the email that I used to sign up for the website. Occasionally I'll just get a direct deposit in my bank account. Truthfully, stock photography is dead. It's done. It has been dead since before I got into it almost 10 years ago. Find another way to make money. Moving on to the next one, which is licensing deals. Occasionally, a company or tourism board will reach out to me to license one of my photos. Here's one from Fairbanks, which is a tourism board for Fairbanks. They licensed my photo here for the inside cover. I've also licensed some for various tour companies or magazines around the world. Last year, Scholastic licensed one of my photos. I'm typically getting paid between $275 and $400 per photo for a licensing agreement. This is usually non-exclusive, meaning that they don't own the rights to the photo. I can still sell it to other people. I can still do whatever I want with it. It's still mine. In total, last year I made $4,675 by licensing photos. So this next one is probably the most controversial one, and it is photo contest. So this is probably the least lucrative way to make money as a photographer. Some big contests actually will pay you several $1,000s if you win the first place prize, but you are competing with thousands of other talented photographers, so your odds are not good. I've won a handful of small photo contests where the prizes are not quite so grand. One of them was this cool little globe here that spins. And I actually have placed pretty highly in contests like the Epson Pano Awards and the International Landscape Photographer of the Year, but I have never made any money with any of these. In total, over the last 3 years, I have actually spent $822.80 on these contests. You could potentially argue that me winning or placing highly in a contest gives some credence to me being a professional photographer, but I don't really know if it's worth it. I entered one contest this year, but to be honest, it's probably the last one I'm gonna do. I still think it's fun to kind of see how your photos rank against your peers, but it's definitely not a way to make money. I promise we're almost there to the end, but I still need to cover one more source of income. I was only recently monetized like less than 2 weeks ago. But if I go here to studio.youtube.com, you can see here my channel dashboard. Shows you my last video. It has 1.4 thousand views. You can see my subscribers right here, 2,876. And then down here, you can see in the last 28 days, I have made $175.26. Obviously, this isn't a lot, but I only recently started uploading to YouTube regularly, and hopefully with this video and future videos, that revenue will go up, and I can make, you know, somewhat of a career out of this, or at least have this be some decent side income. Finally, we're at the end. This is the most lucrative way I've made money with photography, and that is photo workshops. Earlier this year, I quit my job, but I was working full-time for one of these large photo workshop tour companies. And when I very first started, I was getting paid $250 a day. And over time, over the next 4 years, I eventually worked my way up to $400 a day, which it sounds really good on paper, right? $400 a day to be a tour guide and take people out and take cool photos. But that $400 a day is not for a typical Monday through Friday 9 to 5 job. There were often many times where I'd be working, you know, upwards of 18, 19, 20 hours in a single day. And there were many times that I also didn't have work to sustain myself for certain periods. The tourism industry is just not super stable. Sometimes I would get a call from my boss saying that, hey, you know, even though you're supposed to be co-leading this workshop with someone, not enough people signed up, so only your coworker is going to be doing this workshop. And then I would be left with, you know, 7 days without work and, you know, several $1,000s that I was counting on just not being there. I also spent a ton of personal time on this job, just trying to be a better photographer, looking up ways and researching and practicing how to be a better tour guide. I would practice doing photography presentations at home and learning Photoshop so I could be a better workshop instructor. And all of that was unpaid. I don't expect it to be, but I spent, you know, tons of time. When I decided to take this career path, I said, it, I am 100% in. I am all in. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be the absolute best I can be. In total, last year, I led 22 different workshops and a whole bunch of day tours and did a few other miscellaneous things for money. And you can see here's my W-2. Should be able to see right here, it says Nicholas Warner. And over here, you can see that I made a grand total of $50,669.76. So I'm gonna be 100% honest, guys. I don't know if photography is worth making a full-time career out of. Sometime in 2009, I decided that I want to travel the world and take photos and get paid for it. And more or less, I've been able to make that dream somewhat of a reality. There's definitely compromises. There's certainly some things that I do that I don't get paid for that are just, you know, kind of my own personal photography trips that are for fun. With the rise of AI and how competitive this field is, it is difficult to succeed. So hopefully this is informative to some of you watching, and I was able to give you an insight into how much money we actually make. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.